you took a look at defund the police, which has opened up a wound amongst progressives, Democrats, everybody on the left, nationalists, Pan-Africanists, and everybody's debating now. And I'm tired of talking about it. I'm like, forget it, y'all. Defund the police. We should have said it. We shouldn't have said it. We have to say it. You wrote in your latest, though, you think it was a net neutral.
Yeah. Again, early information, I always caveat that, right? But by all indications, youth turnout was up by, over 50%. I mean, it was historically high youth turnout. We do not win Michigan, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Arizona, Wisconsin without that boosted youth turnout. And what motivated that youth turnout, right? I think a lot of that was this protest, this justice movement. So I think in that regard, we know that those protests were used to register people to vote, to message them on the importance of voting. So it's clear to me that the justice movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, was a positive in boosting youth turnout. Now, did it turn off certain people? Well, certainly it created, it gave Republicans a reason to sort of lock down maybe some of their more iffy white vote out in the exurbs and in rural areas. It probably did cost us in places like Montana and Kansas, which were long shot Senate races, and we needed everything to fall perfectly. So I don't think you say, okay, had we just, if the activists had come up with a more milquetoast term for the movement instead of defund police, maybe, reform police, would that have changed things? Maybe, but it's all you can't talk about a protest movement in a vacuum, right? It's what the emotions of the moment generated. And I think it helped deliver the White House to us. Did it cost us in other places? I wouldn't be surprised. Mark, there was a great thread on Twitter yesterday from a guy who does focus groups. And so he did a focus group of undecided voters who voted for Trump in the end. And he doesn't say where it's at, right? But it's a bunch of white people. And on issue to issue, I mean, these are like the dumbest of the dumbest, right? I mean, I'm not even kidding how dumb they are. He asked them, do any of them regret their vote, right? Not I don't know, 12 of them. 5 of them would change their votes, but one of them wouldn't change their votes to Biden because Biden won. I mean, it was like the dumbest things possible. These people are still undecided a week after they voted. But here's the thing. He asked them about Black Lives Matter, and that really resonated with his crew, right? A bunch of white people. And then he said, well, defund police doesn't mean eliminate police. It means to, shift resources. And then they actually got angry. It's like, don't tell me what it means. I know what it means, right? But here's the funny thing. Later on in the focus group, he asked them, what would you guys think about shifting some of the police budget to social workers so they could do nonviolent intervention? 70% agreed with it. So they agree with what it means, that the branding pisses them off. Dude. So this is now, had there been a protest movement based on what focus group testing and message testing, would we have what we had? No. Will we have that spontaneous eruption of support for the Black community? No, right? It is what it is. And so you can sit there and say, well, I mean, you had one moderate Democrat say that I don't want to hear any Democrats talk about defund police. No Democrats talked about defund police. It wasn't, I mean, maybe AOC and Omar, but it wasn't in the messaging. It wasn't in the advertising. Republicans are the ones that amplified it, and they're going to make stuff up anyway, right? So, right now we're seeing what that Warnock is an enemy of Israel. I mean, that's what Republicans are going to allege. So they're going to make up stuff anyway. Yet in this case, that seed, this Democrats want to eliminate police. That was the sort of implied lie. Where that came from, the protest movement actually generated the highest percentage of youth turnout. And I think when we look at the numbers in the end, we're going to see the same thing for Black turnout and Latino turnout.
Yeah.
And it generated the biggest growth in turnout with those communities in American history. Do I make that trade? I think I do. And I definitely, it was on the side, on a moral side, it was the right thing to do. So, it's a bit of a pedantic debate. Youth art activists are going to do their movement, right? They're gonna fight the way, they're going to use the words that they think motivates them. They're gonna find their voice, and to have a bunch of old white Democrats be like, this, I think it's a bad look.
Well, and even if defund the police was a phrase that was never coined, you're right. There are always going to be those people who are going to complain and say it's either too left or too black or something. There's somebody who would have said something for people to blame it on, even if it wasn't defund. That's happened. When has that not happened? Last time it was just the word socialism. Now it's defund. It's always going to be something, and I think people make a big deal about it when they probably shouldn't. And again, the irony in that is it was the movement. It wasn't. You're right. Democratic candidates weren't saying it. So it's kind of interesting that the Democrats who are against it are subtly co-opting the movement, which is interesting. It's like, well, this hurt us as Democrats, but Democrats didn't say it. The movement said it. So are you saying that you're a part of the movement? And it's kind of a strange.
And here's the key: is that Democratic performance in suburbs continued to increase. So it really did not turn off those suburban white women, which was actually, I think, a lot of the focus of those attacks, were to try to grab back those suburban voters. And in that regard, it failed. Democrats, again, everything's early right now, but by all early indications, Democrats made big gains, continued gains in suburban America. The other factor, and I think this is going to be important moving forward, is that Republicans, by all indications, have maxed out their white vote. Like, they squeezed out every last drop they could in those rural counties. I mean, you're getting close to max turnout in those counties. We still have a lot of low-hanging fruit in urban and even some suburban areas. There's a lot of room for Democrats to grow, to continue doing the sort of voter registration that they're doing. And so that's a big factor. And then the other one, and this sort of relevant to Atlanta and Georgia, and you talking to people being optimistic. I'm optimistic just because we won. I mean, if we are able to keep the same people to turn out again, we're going to win. So the question is, will there be drop off? And there will be drop off. There is always drop off. So this is all the big deciding factor is who has less drop off. And Mark, we talked about it last week, and I've been continuing to formulate my theory about the hidden deplorable, which is these people that only turned out for Donald Trump. And one of my big sort of pieces of evidence for that is that polls were accurate in 2018. They were accurate in 2014, not so accurate in 16 and 20. And what was the difference is that Donald Trump was on the ballot, and he got out these sort of angry, truly deplorable people who are disenfranchised from like American society, right? They come from meth country. They don't trust any institutions. After you, I'm not going to wear a mask. These are the people trying to drive a Biden campaign bus off the road in Texas. They're not going to sit and talk to a pollster. They're going to give that pollster the middle finger, right? They're not going to join the civics panel. So you can't even model these people because they're different than your typical white Republican who may be an a-hole, but isn't a destructive a-hole. And the reason these people are drawn to Donald Trump is because Donald Trump is destructive. He is, I was talking to Dave Weigel from the Washington Post. He's a campaign reporter yesterday, and he reminded me that Kelly Loeffler got into the runoff in Georgia because of an ad where she compared herself to Genghis Khan, right? She's as conservative as Genghis Khan. What civilization did Genghis Khan build? What monuments the Mongolian civilization built to Genghis Khan, right? No, he destroyed. And that's what the Q people are. That's what Donald Trump is. These are people that are tearing down American institutions, tearing down the media, tearing down the CDC, tearing down anybody who doesn't support Trump. And that's what these deplorables are attracted to, destruction, right? They want to shoot stuff up. They don't want to build things. They want to destroy. They want to blow them up. So will they turn out in January in Georgia without Donald Trump on the ballot? Now, we have to assume they will, right? We have to work to make sure we get every one of our votes out. So this is not a prediction by any stretch. I'm assuming they're going to turn out. But it'll be very interesting after the fact. Those extra 350,000 people that he turned out, will they turn out again for Kelly Loeffler and Purdue? I mean, two of the most milquetoast establishment hoity-toity Republicans that you can dig up, and I think it's going to be difficult. And I think this is why Mitch McConnell is still humoring Donald Trump, is because any hint that any of them are turning against Trump, and then Trump will sabotage those elections, because Trump doesn't care about the Senate races in Georgia. And in the end, I don't even think he's going to help. Like, Trump doesn't give he doesn't give a damn. So I don't think he's going to even bother to show up and help. But that is going to be sort of, if my theory is true and those people don't turn out, then the Republicans are in trouble. Because even with all the defund police and all that crap that really motivated that hidden deplorable, if those disappear with Trump off the ballot, that then 2022 looks a lot better for Democrats. Again, I'm not assuming it.
Right, no,
I'm not even expecting it.
Right.
I'm hoping.